Samar Island is the third largest island in the Philippines and has one of the most extensive forest over limestone ecosystems in the country. This ecosystem is home to a wide array of uniquely adapted flora and fauna. Samar Island is known to be one of the centers of botanical diversity in the Philippines and has been nominated as a UNESCO World Natural Heritage Site for its exceptional natural beauty and precious biodiversity. For these reasons, CONserve-KAIGANGAN, a biodiversity research program, was established. Kaigangan is a Samar local word that means forest over limestone. Our research program's mission is to assess and conserve the biodiversity in Samar Island's forest over limestone towards its sustainable management. One of our program's projects is the assessment of biodiversity and community structure in forest over limestone ecosystems. This component of our research aims to determine plant diversity and vegetation structure in various habitat types in forests over limestone, to determine animal diversity associated with forest over limestone, to identify functional classification of vegetation with its associated animal diversity, and to analyze the environmental factors influencing the prevailing structure of the biota. We conducted a comprehensive biodiversity assessment of forests over limestone in the municipalities of Paranas, Taft, and Giwan with remarkable findings. A combined total of 71 plant species were recorded from these municipalities, with at least 3 tree species classified as vulnerable based on the DENR updated national list of threatened Philippine plants. A total of 52 terrestrial vertebrate animal species were also recorded, including 5 amphibian species, 15 reptile species, 20 bird species, and 12 mammal species, with conservation statuses ranging from threatened to endangered and critically endangered, based on the DENR updated national list of threatened Philippine fauna. This knowledge will empower our stakeholders in these areas to make appropriate research-based conservation efforts for the protection of these ecosystems that harbor an assemblage of rare, endemic, and economically important flora and fauna. Through this program, people will be equipped with knowledge on forests over limestone biodiversity, including the ecosystem services that it can offer to the community. We at CONserve-KAIGANGAN continue to further raise awareness and capacitate national and local government agencies, especially local communities living in and around Samar's Kaigangan.
Welcome to Kaigangan Biodiversity Webinar Series, an initiative of the CONserve-KAIGANGAN program. Now on its fourth phase, the program continues its commitment to advancing research, knowledge sharing, and collaborative efforts in biodiversity conservation. From March to December 2025, the webinar series featured monthly sessions with researchers and experts sharing insights on limestone forest biodiversity, conservation, and ecological research. These sessions serve as a platform for collaboration among researchers, students, and practitioners. As we look back, here are the key highlights from each session. The series opened with Ms. Anne Frances Buhay focusing on biodiversity assessment along the Ulot River in Samar Island Natural Park. The study documented flora and fauna across river sections, identified conservation zones, and highlighted the importance of community engagement in protecting riparian ecosystems. Ms. Stephanie D. Di Malanta presented the evolution of the CONserve-KAIGANGAN program from 2019 to Phase 4. The session introduced forest over limestone, highlighted key milestones, and outlined ongoing efforts to strengthen biodiversity research and conservation. Dr. Adeline Etchapare presented findings from focus group discussions with local communities. The session highlighted community knowledge, ecosystem services, and the importance of integrating local perspectives into conservation strategies. A special two-part session featured Dr. Flores and Dr. Quiazon. Dr. Flores presented Unlocking Microbial Mysteries, highlighting how modern technologies are advancing the study of microbial diversity across land and seascapes. This was followed by Dr. Quiazon, who presented Unlocking Research Horizons, providing an overview of the JSPS Fellowship Program and emphasizing opportunities for international collaboration and research development. Mr. Florence Roy P. Salvania presented Preliminary Assessment of Trees in Columbio, Sultan Kudarat. The presentation covered the study site's forest condition, documented floral diversity, and highlighted a notable new distribution record of a Podocarpus species, underscoring the area's conservation value. Dr. Jones Tapaldet presented flora of the Cordillera Central Range, Northern Philippines, its threats to upland biodiversity in the face of changing climate. The session synthesized floristic studies across communities, highlighting biodiversity patterns, climate change impacts, and baseline data essential for long-term ecological monitoring. Dr. Jabez Joshua Flores delivered a presentation on the applications of GeoAI in biodiversity conservation. The talk introduced GeoAI, featured tools such as GeoNadir and FlyPix.ai that emphasized their applications in spatial analysis, mapping, and data-driven conservation decision-making. Mr. Aaron Froilan M. Raganas of the University of the Philippines, Mindanao, presented Flora of Davao Region, Diversity Amidst Challenges. The presentation outlined plant diversity across the region, discussed major threats to flora, and highlighted conservation efforts and opportunities for biodiversity research. Mr. John Ryan Navidad presented propagation and conservation of top priority plants in the forest over limestone of Samar Island Natural Park. The session discussed threats to limestone ecosystems and outlined conservation and propagation efforts from species selection and collection to nursery work, along with future plans to support long-term conservation. Last but not the least, Dr. Maria Celeste Banatikla Hilario presented a study on riparian ficus diversity along the Ulot River in Samar Island Natural Park. The presentation focused on species richness, abundance, and distribution patterns across different river sections. It highlights how environmental gradients shape riparian biodiversity. Together, these sessions highlight a year of collaboration, knowledge exchange, and sustained commitment to biodiversity conservation. The insights from 2025 deepen our understanding of forest ecosystems and inform ongoing research and conservation initiatives. As we move forward, we carry these lessons into the next phase of engagement and discovery. Join us as the Kaigangan Biodiversity Webinar Series continues in 2026, bringing new discussions, fresh perspectives, and further opportunities for learning and collaboration. Hi, good morning everyone. Happy April and welcome to the second webinar of 2026 for our CONserve-KAIGANGAN webinar series. We're very glad to have both familiar faces and new participants joining us today. Thank you for taking the time to be part of this session. I'm Ryan Navidad and I'll be your host for today. And before we begin, let's have a quick kumustahan. Kindly type in the chat box your name, affiliation, and location so we can acknowledge your presence. Once again, good morning po sa lahat and thank you for giving your time to us and we're looking forward po na ma-meet po kayo sa mga next naming event. So we have here Ma'am Maria Pedra Blanca, good morning. Good morning po from Sir Jamil Cruz from IBS UPLB. Hi, Sir Jamil. Good morning po sa lahat. And of course, Sir Marvin M. Tejada from Qatar. Magandang umaga po. Let's check our Facebook if may mga bumati po. Ayun. So I think sa lahat po ng magchat-chat pa, good morning and once again, thank you po sa pagpunta. And welcome to CONserve-KAIGANGAN webinar series. Our webinars are held once or twice a month, so don't forget to stay updated by following our Facebook page for upcoming announcements. All right. We also have Ma'am Medina Therese Julian. Good morning po, Ma'am, and Sir Osorio David Vicente from Philippine Arachnological Society. We also have Sir Sam Sandrejas from Davao and Ma'am Maria Pedra Blanca from DepEd Isabela National High School. And last na po, si Sir Raymond Geronimo. Magandang umaga po. We also have Sir Dale from IVS UPLB. Okay, let's proceed na po. I know all of us are excited, but before we begin, we want to remind everyone that this webinar is recorded. So with this po, please take note of the following rules for our decorum. So number one, as mentioned na po kanina, kindly keep your microphones muted, especially when our speaker is presenting. Next, if you have questions or clarifications during the presentation, please send your question through the chat box and we will acknowledge the question during the open forum. Third, there will be a short quiz right after the session. So once you have completed the quiz, the link to the evaluation form will be provided. So para po to sa mga nagtatanong kung may attendance pa, may certificate, again, there will be a quiz link later. And e-certificates will then be sent after completing the evaluations form, which will serve as your proof of attendance. Last is, please make sure that the email address you indicate is valid and correct, as it will be the basis for sending the e-certificates. So now that we've set some ground rules, we can officially continue with the program. I believe everyone is excited and ready to learn from and listen to our speakers. We have 71 participants here in Zoom and I don't know sa Facebook, pero again, welcome po. So before we officially call our guest speaker, let me first introduce him. Our speaker is Dr. Phillip A. Alviola, a full professor at the Institute of Biological Science of the Philippines, Baños. He is a bat ecologist by training with 30 years of work experience and a publication track record of at least 65 research articles in scientific journals. He was a recipient of the DOST NAST Outstanding Young Scientist in 2017 and received a commendation by the Philippine Senate in 2018 as one of the 8 Filipinos included in the top 100 scientists in the Asia-Pacific region. Dr. Phillip was also a member of the WHO Scientific Advisory Group for the Origins of Novel Pathogens, or SAGO, tasked to develop a global framework to define and guide studies into the origins of emerging and re-emerging pathogens of epidemic and pandemic potential. His area of expertise includes bat ecology, mammal taxonomy, conservation biology, and bat zoonotics. So, wow, what a credential. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Phillip A. Alviola, who will be sharing his talk entitled The Sierra Madre Mountain Range, The Stormbreaker, a Stronghold for Mammalian Endemisms.
Pleasant good morning to everyone. First of all, before I start my talk, I would like to thank the KAIGANGAN project, especially to Assistant Professor Lani Masungsong, who extended the invitation for me to deliver my research on mammals. So my name is Phillip Alviola. I'm a faculty at the Animal Biology Division of the Institute of Biological Sciences. So the title of my talk is The Sierra Madre Mountain Range. The Stormbreaker is also a stronghold for mammalian endemism. Right, for the overview of my talk, so I'm going to be talking several things here for today. So first of all would be the history of investigations in the Sierra Madre Mountain Range, starting from 1897. And then this will be followed by what we did, our field expeditions the mountain range, so beginning roughly around 2002, and it went on for at least a decade. Then I'm going to be talking about the mammalian diversity that are found, that we documented in the mountain range, and of course the new species that we discovered and and described. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about speciation, and of course in the context of geologic history of the mountain range. Okay. Right. Oldfield Thomas, who was the leading mammalogist then in the British Museum, made this amazing remark. No? Mr. Whitehead has made most wonderful and unexpected discovery. So this was in 1898. So Mr. Whitehead, the one he was referring to, was a naturalist and explorer. So it's also a British, also British. So he made several collections here in the Philippines, not just in the Philippines, but several parts of Southeast Asia as well. And when he did a expedition, Mount Tata, and of course in other places as well, so he delivered to Oldfield Thomas at the British Museum several forms that was never seen before, that were never seen before. For example, you have protomies. No, these are mostly well, murids, no, murid rodents. So you have selenomies, rhynchomies, batomies, carpomies. So most of that, no, he collected on Mount Data. So except for this one, chronomies. So Oldfield Thomas described it as, no, named it Chronomis phalanx, which was discovered in the Sierra Madres. So let me kindly indulge me on this. No? So I'm going to read on the accounts on the capture of Chronomis phalanx. So from a publication, so on the mammals obtained by Mr. John Whitehead during his recent expedition to the Philippines. Right, so allow me to indulge, not to read this. So the following are Mr. Whitehead's notes on its capture. So in one of my wanderings through the parched forest of Isabela, I noticed a small red kingfisher, Seix melinura. No? So it's a very, very beautiful bird, actually. Melinurus kingfisher, no, very, very small, no? Very, very small. And fly to the scrub near a small stream. Having only a large gun with me, wow, large gun, I sent my servant back to the village for a small collecting gun. Okay, while seated beside the stream, a small mouse was observed among some large stones on the opposite side, busily searching after food. I opened one of my 16-bore cartridges, shotgun actually, and picked out all of the shot, but 4 or 5 pellets, and luckily killed the small animal without much damage. Wow, that's very, very surprising being done. So being sure from its peculiar habits that it must be something interesting, I carefully skinned it and sent it home, and now rewarded by an addition of another new generic form to this already interesting collection. So we can imagine some of the naturalists that were doing field work in the Philippines in the 1800s, 1900s were really great shot, no? Very sharp marksmen. Using but this one is a bit of an overkill, no? Using a shotgun to capture to Chronomis phalanx, which is very, very small, as you can see here in the comparisons of my cell phones back then, when more than 20 years ago. Right. So after this, no, after Oldfield Thomas published in 1897, nothing came after, please. Oh, well, for what's known in the Sierra Madre until 1986. No, Karen Mudar and Allen published in 1986 a list of bats from northeastern Luzon, Philippines. So it was the first published collection of bats in the Sierra Madres. No, they captured 110 bats of 11 species in 2 provinces in Isabela and Cagayan. And some of these bats that were captured, specimens that were taken were Cerdon jubatus, which is only found in the Philippines. It's the largest bat in the world. You also have the Luzon pygmy fruit bat, Autotropus cartilaginodus, only found on Luzon. And this very, very surprising, very beautiful bat, orange-fingered Myotis rufopictus. And for me, it's the most beautiful bat in the world, as you can see in the coloration and the pattern orange. Right. And then after that, 1986 and then 1994, there was an in-house publication that was submitted to DNR. It's titled Conservation of Biological Diversity in the Sierra Madre Mountains of Isabela and southern Cagayan province, the Philippines. No? It was the lead author. Some of the authors here would be Finn Danielson, Arne Jensen, and Danny Balete. So these were my former bosses from 99, right? Almost after, no, right after my graduation from college. So the notable mammal species that were documented in this in-house publication, which is widely cited, by the way. So specimens of Apomys sherae, which was then identified as Date, or named after Mount Data, and then the rediscovery of Chronomys phalanx. So when the specimens were brought to or were showed to Larry Heaney, so yeah, by his own admission, and it's published, so he might misidentify that as Chronomys phalanx. So from there, it was thought to be a rediscovery after more than 100 years of being an obscurity, which later on I will talk about, turns out to be a new species. No, and actually, it's not just a new species altogether. And a few other species. So their work documented other species as well, such as macaques and deer. And then so from that supposedly that specimen that was supposedly identified as Chronomys phalanx in 1994, it was re-examined and a publication came out in 1998. So it's the review of the genera of Chronomys and Archboldomys with the description of two new species. No? So this was led by Eric Rickert from the Utah Museum of Natural History, and Larry Heaney was there, Danny, of course, and Manong Blas Tabranza. So the specimen from 1994 was re-identified as a new species that belonged to a new genus. So this one, they named it as Archboldomys musari. Archboldomys musari. So it's not Chronomys phalanx, as was previously identified, but it's Archboldomys musari. So as it stands during that time, Chronomys phalanx is still obscure. No, it's not rediscovered. And unfortunately, it was only known only from the type specimen and the type locality. Okay? So it's only found in Mount Cetaseo. And this was the start of direct involvement of Dr. Larry Heaney, who's a foremost expert on Southeast Asian mammals, in his work in the Sierra Madres. So after that, 1990, so 2002, between 2002 and 2007, the Conservation International Philippines now had this project, the Sierra Madre Biodiversity Corridor. So one of its tasks, of course, is to create protected area systems in the Sierra Madre. And part of that work would be looking into the baseline inventory of all the biodiversity for that corridor. So we worked then, I was employed then as a freelance field biologist. No? So we surveyed several localities in the Sierra Madre. So this, and in 2007, we published, this was led a paper on that. And this was led by Dr. Mariano Roy Duya, Aloy Duya of then the lead in Conservation International Philippines, and now a faculty at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. So we published that survey, and it was considered the first comprehensive mammal survey in the Sierra Madres for the first time. No? And we covered 11 sites across 3 provinces. So from Quezon, Isabela, Quirino, of course, Quirino and Cagayan. Okay. Also included in the surveys were 3 mountains, no, rather prominent mountains, such as Mount Cetaseo, Mount Cagua in the northern Luzon, and Mount Binuang in Quezon. No, so and we had a very wide elevational gradient survey type, from starting from the lowlands at 300 meters up to the 1500 meters. And from all of that, a total of 38 species of mammals were reported. Quite a number of that, quite a number. And reporting on the mammals that we documented during that time. So we reported old world fruit bats or Theropodidae, about 10 species of those. Most of the bats, the fruit bats found on Luzon, and 5 of those are endemic. There were three common species, looking at Macroglossus, Synopterus, and Rosetus. And we also recorded two endemic pygmy fruit bats, no? Haplonycteris and Autotropus, which are forest obligate species. And included as well were four flying foxes. No? So these are some of the largest bats in the world, like Cerodon, Desmalopex, and Theropus. We also documented several species of insect-eating bats, no? 15 in total, and four of those are only found in the Philippines. So some of the prominent records of insect-eating bats would include the Philippine tailless roundleaf bat, Celops hirsutus, which would be the first record on Luzon Island. We also recorded for the first time in the Philippines, no? Carivula papillosa, and we formally reported the presence of a colony of Carapon plicatus in Peña Blanca, Cagayan. The colony was around more than 200,000 individuals. We also recorded several species of shrews and murid rodents. No, so these are true rats. They're murid rodents. So we documented one species of shrew and 8 species of murid rodents, including an unidentified apomis. No, it's a daga siya, no, daga. And we had additional specimens of Archibaldomys also in Mount Cetaseo. And we recorded at least one species of cloud rat, Phloemys pallidus, and at least one commensal rodent, no, yung mga nakikita sa mga bahayan, no, Ratus exulans. Lastly, we also recorded a few species of large mammals, such as your Philippine brown deer, your long-tailed macaque, Philippine warty pig, and the palm civet. And all of these large mammals were recorded at most sites, but unfortunately, they are heavily hunted. Even back then, they were heavily hunted, and based from interviews, the people there perceive it to be decreasing in numbers, especially for the deer and the warty pig. So, from all the surveys that we've done, starting from 2002 up until 2007, so we published a paper in 2011. Actually, it's a one single volume in the Fieldiana Life and Earth Sciences. So it's entitled Discovering Diversity, Studies of the Mammals of Luzon Island, Philippines. So actually, this publication, this volume was a culmination of all the surveys that we've done. No? So we produced 5 papers on Luzon Island in 2011 for that volume, which included a description of 7 new species of the genus Apomys and 1 subgenus Megapomys. And then we also provided publication for we've done elevational transects for Mount Cetaseo, Mount Palali, and Mount Mingan. And all of those are in the Sierra Madre, which I will, in the next few slides, will tell you something about them, no? The papers that we published in this one volume. So first of all, let's start with chapter 2, and then for the chapter 1, then medyo pinakahuli, no? Chapter 2, mammalian diversity patterns on Mount Palali, Caraballo Mountains. No, I took the lead in writing this paper. So it's in Nueva Vizcaya. It's quite a high mountain, no? 1,707 meters above sea level. So we did mammal survey at 8 different elevations. So starting from 780 meters up to the peak, and for the rodent trapping, small mammal trapping, so we accumulated around 4,300 trap nights. So medyo madami, no? And from that effort, I think we spent about more than a month there. So we recorded 24 species of mammals, which included 8 species of shrews and rodents, 12 species of bats, and 4 large mammals as well. So what we did was an elevation. What we do in mountains is we do elevational transects, usually starting as we can go as high as possible and then work our way down, as you can see here in our map. And then chapter 3, the mammals of Mingan Mountains. Luzon, evidence for a new center of mammalian endemism. So this paper was led by the late great Danny Balede. So we did a survey in Mingan Mountains. The elevation is around 1,901 meters, probably the highest mountain in the Sierra Madres. No, it's in Aurora and Nueva Vizcaya provinces. So we surveyed at 11 different elevations, starting at 100 meters up to 1785 meters. No, we didn't manage to reach the peak actually, no, and for a total of 5,600 crab nights. So at least for small mammals, no, much bigger, no, much yeah, substantial than what would be the Mount Palali. So from there, we recorded a total of 35 mammal species, including three new species. You know, we also captured three new species, including Rhynchomemes, more on this later, Suricomes, more on this, and Murina, which is a bat. And from that paper, it was determined that because of the presence of these Mingan endemic rodents, no, that are only found in Mount Mingan, Mount Mingan's we decided, no, we think that it's a new center of mammalian endemism on Luzon Island. So more on this, no, particularly on the species that new species that we discovered. So looking here to the left would be Suricomes Leonard Coy. No, apologies for the wrong spelling. So it was published in 2012, also led by Danny Baleta. Balete. So this was previously identified as Archboldemes, no, and it's found only in Mount Mingan. And also here would be the first record of a Rhynchomemes in the Sierra Madres. So you can see here in 2019. So we named it Rhynchomemes mingan. As you can see, very peculiar rodent, very long snout, totally different from the typical rodent that you would see in your houses. So, and it can climb, it can stand on its hind legs, similar to a kangaroo. As actually, we think that it sometimes hops, it crawls, but sometimes it hops in the mossy forest. So it's the first record of Rhynchomemes in the Sierra Madre. And as Rhynchomemes would go, though they are vermivorous, no? Much of their diet is on earthworms, no? As you can see here in the picture taken in 2006, that's me. There's Nonito and Joel. So we're holding here a huge earthworm, the largest earthworm that we see. So this is near the peak. And you can just imagine, no, the size of that. So this is the elevation, no, where Rhynchomemes mingan really thrives. No, there are so many earthworms that were found in the mossy forest of Mount Mingan. And then chapter 4, this paper was led by Dr. Mariano Roy Duya of UP Diliman. No, so this paper is on the diversity of small mammals in montane and mossy forest on Mount Cetaseo. Okay? So Mount Cetaseo, medyo sikat na rin siya nung araw. It's a relatively high mountain. It's around 1650 meters above sea level in Cagayan province. So we surveyed at 4 elevation bands in the montane forest between 1,300 and 1,400 meters, and the mossy forest between 1,500 and 1,550 meters. So we failed to reach the peak, at least for the mammalogists that were working there. But some of our colleagues, no, botanists, did manage to reach the peak. So from there, we from that mossy and montane forest, so we recorded 12 species of mammals, including 7 murid rodents and a shrew. No? So here we added several specimens of the Archboldemes musserai, which was eventually redescribed as a new genus, Suricomes. Right. And then the last the paper from that 2011 Fieldiana volume was the description of 7 new species and a new subgenus of forest mice from Luzon Island. So this was led by Dr. Larry Heaney. So here we had surveys from several parts of Luzon, from Cordilleras, of course, the Sierra Madre, in Banahaw, and of course in Zambales Peninsula, Zambales, no, in yeah, Zambales. So from that paper, there were three new species of Apomis, no, in the Sierra Madres. So you have here Apomis sherrae. So found for the most of parts of the northern Sierra Madre. And then there were also two more, Apomis minganensis, which is found in the high elevations of Mount Mingan, and Apomis aurorae, which is found in the low elevations of Mount Mingan as well. So there were three species of Apomis, no, under the subgenus Megapomis, by the way. So in the mountain range. As you can see here, in the phylogenetic reconstruction, in the context of its distribution on Luzon Island. So so the ancestor, no, the ancestor of the Apomis when it no, probably split around 2.8 million years ago, no. So it's an estimate here, and then it quickly diverged, no. One going found in Mindoro, which is Apomis gracilis, but the rest are on most of it are on Luzon. So as you can see here, there are two from that other lineage. There was another split sometime less than 2 million years ago, 1.8 million years ago. That one split, that one branch produced Apomis aurorae, which is found in the low elevation of Mount Mingan. So letter G over here. So it's a relatively quite an old lineage, no? Around a little over 1 million years ago. And then another lineage from the other lineage, you have Apomis sherrae, which is about same age as Apomis aurorae. And then from there, from that lineage, which gave birth to Apomis sherrae, there's also Apomis minganensis, found in the high elevations of Mount Mingan. So what we're seeing here is that there are two species of Apomis in Mount Mingan, and you would expect that it was a product of linear evolution, no? So whoever came first, and then from there, another new species came out. But looking here at the phylogeny, that what happened with the Apomis in Mount Mingan was not a linear speciation event, but was a result of two colonization events. No, the first one happened for Apomis aurorae about a little over 1 million years ago, and then for Minganensis around less than 500,000 years ago. No, it's very, very interesting. Right. Now we go to Archboldomys and the new genus Sericomys. No, I've been telling this about, no, medyo problematic. No, started out as, no, the capture of Chronomis phalanx, and then in 1994 they thought they captured Chronomis phalanx, but it turns out that it was uh, a new species in 1998, which was Archboldomys. And then there's another player here, another name that sprang forth, no? Sorikomi. So this was a paper published in 2012, led by Danny Balete. So Archboldomys reconsidered. So a new genus and three new species of shrew mice from Luzon Island, Philippines. So essentially, it's a redefinition of the genus, and as a result, there was a description of a new species and a new genus. So prior to this publication, which I've been telling about, so there were two populations of Archboldomys in the Sierra Madre, at least specimens coming from Sierra Madres. So one was Archboldomys masseri in Mount Cetaseo, published, described in 1998 by Eric Rickert, and then appeared in the publication by Dr. Duya in 2007 and 2011, which I showed before. And another Archboldomys in Mingan Mountains, no, published in 2011 by Danny Balete from that volume of the Fieldiana. So you're looking here, very, very similar in morphology, at least in the head morphology, no? So what happened here is that no, we collected tissue samples for all the specimens that we obtained, you know. As you can see here in the phylogenetic reconstruction of the selected Philippine murid genera. So you have Archboldemes, Rhynchomes, Crotomes, and Suricomes. So the supposed specimens coming from the Sierra Madre, which is shown in red box and blue box, the different box. So these are the supposed Archboldemes, no, from Cetaceo, the red one, and me and the blue one. So they do not form a monophyletic clade with the other members of Archboldemes, which included Maximus and Luzonensis. So it doesn't really make any sense. And there's a lot of evolutionary distance between the Archboldemes maximus and Luzonensis from the Archboldemes from the Sierra Madres. You have in between the Rhynchomes, Crotomes, and no. So this means that they're not really they're distantly related. So with that phylogenetic reconstruction, so Archboldemes from Cetaceo, which was described as Musarae, became Suricomes musarae. Hence, a new genus is described to accommodate and to rectify the paraphyletic reconstruction. And then the Archboldemes from the Mingan Mountains is now described as Suricomes Leonard Coe, no? Suricomes. And there's been, of course, confusion as to why it's been, Suricomes has been confused and identified as Archboldemes, because as you can see with with the Archboldemes luzonensis in Mount Isarog, it's almost the same, no? This almost the same morphological feature, and also roughly the same size. So this similarity in morphology would probably be a result of convergent evolution, no? Okay. Right. And then in 2012, okay, so in 2012, we went to Mount Anakwao, and there were a bit of few surprises there, no? So we went to Mount Anakwao, and then probably one of the highest mountains in the Sierra Madre at around 1,850 meters above sea level. So one of the few surprises, just a backgrounder. So I believe this was in 2006 or 2005 when Larry Heaney, Danny Balete, Eric Ricard, Sweepy Velos from the Philippine National Museum did a survey in Mount Banahaw. Joel Sarmiento was also there. So they discovered, actually Danny captured this, at the lowland forest in Tayabas in Mount Banahaw, a very unusual, to say the least, rodent. Very, very small, around 15 grams. The tail is much longer than the body, and the whiskers, if you can see it here, very, very long. No, it's quite long. No? Parang pusa, no. And because of that name, no, they describe a new genus to accommodate that speed it's because it's so distinct. No, they describe a new genus and they call it very aptly named gulantang, which means nagulat, ano? So surprise, talagang nagulat talaga sila. Well, what the hell is this? No. So they call that Masaromis gulantang. It's described in 2009. And then in 2012, when we went to Mount Anangkwao, so one of, I think Joel captured this, or cards, no, captured another Masaromis in Mount Anakwao dito during this expedition. And it was published in 2014 and it was described as Masaromis Anakwao. So thereby increasing the number of species that are found on Luzon Island. So there's, of course, other species of Masaromis that were found in Mount Pulag. So in that description, 2014, so there were additional species, no, under Masaromis that were found in the Cordilleras. And looking here at the phylogenetic reconstruction, the phylogram, so the population, several species split quite nicely, you know. You have Mount Ayumuya, which is different from Mount Pulag, and then you also have different from Mount Anakwao, and then you also have Mount Masaromis Golantang, no, from Mount Banahaw. So they split quite nicely. And in that phylogenetic tree, you're seeing here, um, the ones that's used, no, for this phylogenetic tree, you have Carpomis, Batomis grantii, Crateromis heinii, and Phloemis kumingai, no? So, sino ba itong mga to? Sino ba itong mga rodents na ito? Itong Carpomis, Batomis, Crateromis, and Phloemis. Why were they used, no? For the phylogenetic tree reconstruction of Masaromis. So it turns out that these are cloud rats. So we mammalogists here working in the Philippines term that as your arboreal clade, no? So the members would be Crateromis, so it's about very big cloud rat, 1.3 to 1.5 kilos. So you have Carpomis or Carpomis, 150 grams, no? So it's a term as a dwarf cloud rat. And you have Phloemis pallidus, which is a giant cloud rat, around 2.5 kilos. And then you have here Masaromis, which is only about 15 grams. So if you compare that with Carpomis, that's 10 times, no? Carpomis is 10 times bigger. If you compare that with Crateromis, that's about 100 times bigger. And then Phloemis pallidus, about 100, I computed, no? 166 times bigger than your Masaromis. Masaromis. So looking at the English names, no? You have giant cloud rat, you have cloud rat, you have dwarf cloud rat. So Masaromis would be pygmy dwarf cloud rat. So dwarf na nga, pygmy pa. But nevertheless, it's still a cloud rat. The phylogenetic tree is unmistakable, no? So they are related. So these very small 15-gram rodents that rodent that are arboreal, they are related to the cloud rats. So very, very interesting, very amazing speciation events, no? Diversification that happened here in the Philippines. And then looking at the estimated arrival, no, and speciation, no, just gathered, I'm not part of this work, gathered from the paper by Larry and Sharon Jansa, I believe. So it's estimated that the ancestors of cloud rats probably arrived at around 14, give or take, 12 or 14 million years ago, and then they split. Okay, at around 10 million years ago, one of that split became the Phloemis, no, Phloemis pallidus, two species, and then the other split diversified into Masaromis. We have four species now, Carpomis, and then you have Batomis and Crateromis. So there's about 21 cloud rat species, more than 21 cloud rat species, more or less, in the Philippines, and 15 of those are found on Luzon Island. So imagine just from a single ancestor that arrived between 12 to 14 million years ago, managed to diversify that produce at least 21 species. Okay, so I've been telling about now from our surveys about several genera of rodents, murid rodents. You have, at the start, you have Selenomis, Crotomis, Sericomis, Rhynchomis, Apomis as well. So there's also another branch across the murid rodent phylogeny, which is they're called earthworm mice, comprised of 5 genera and more than 45 species. So they're called earthworm mice, because of their propensity for feeding on earthworms, particularly here, looking here at Rhynchomis soricoides, with its very, very long snout. It's really adapted, for eating earthworms like a spaghetti. I think there's a study, forgot, I think more than 80% of its diet comprised of earthworms, So they're termed as earthworm mice, So that other branch of murid rodents that arrived here in the Philippines. And you can see here, no, their arrivals a bit later compared to the cloud rats. So it's between 6 to 8 million years ago. Again, starting from a single species, no, single ancestor, and managed to diversify into more than 40 species of earthworm mice in the Philippines, and 30 of those are found on Luzon Island. You see here five different genera. Apomes, around 35. I mean, well, marami, ano, maraming species. Suricomes, you have Crotomes, you have Rhynchomes, and Archboldemes, no? So from that single ancestor, between 6 to 8 million years ago, diversified into more than 40 species of earthworm mice, rodents. And you can see here the splits, ano? Apomes split from the rest of the earthworm mice genera between 5 to 6 million years ago, and then that other lineage made diversified at around less than 4 million years ago, and to what resulted to four different genera. No, right. But very interesting. We know from the DNA, no, from phylogenetic reconstruction, when did they arrive? Who are their nearest relatives? No, what are their phylogenetic affinities? No, but we would like to I'm going to be showing you in the context of what was happening in the Philippines back then, during those several million years ago. So I'm going to be showing you on the geologic context of the diversification of these murid rodents. So you're looking at a map of Luzon plus Mindoro, and the estimated age of the landmass. No, Cordillera, you can see here, very old. No, around 27 million years, or probably 27. It appeared 27 million years. No, very very old. Um, the Zambales Peninsula, the Zambales Mountain Range, up to the Bataan Peninsula. Sorry, so around relatively old as well. No, around 18 million years ago. And then there's land that east of the Cordilleras, around what is now ano ba to? The Cagayan Valley, between 3 to 5 million years ago. Then you have Sierra Madres. No, most of the northern Sierra Madres around 5 million years ago. No, much younger than Cordilleras. Then you have here at the middle, you have the Caraballo Mountain Range. You can see my pointer. Here is Mount Mingan Mountains, around 2 to 5 million years ago. And then the southern Sierra Madre around 5 million years ago. So looking here at geologic history reconstruction of the different land masses, the different mountain ranges on Luzon Island. So that fits, and um, we're showing side by side the phylogenetic history of these rodents. So there is congruence. There's almost no, not perfect congruence, but there is congruence. For example, no, for cloud rats. So they arrived at around, like I said, between 12 to 14 million years ago. It was probably in the Cordilleras where they first set foot, you know, and then it then between 6 to 8 million years ago, the cloud rat group now diversified into four different genera, and you see here Masaromes. So it diversified from the common ancestor between Carpomes and Masaromes at around a little more than 4 million years ago. And Masaromes has Sierra Madre has Masaromes. So you're seeing here, yeah, it fits, no? So the emergence of the Sierra Madres, no, at 5 million years ago, it's perfect. It coincided with the appearance or the age of Masaromes as well. And looking at the earthworm mice, you know, so like I said earlier, the arrival of the first ancestor was between 6 to 8 billion years ago. There was diversification um, around no, around less more than 5 million years ago, with which is now Apomes, and then the rest of the genera. So you're seeing here is that the presence of Archboldemes, Rhynchomes, Crotomes, Sericomes, which diversified at around a little less than 4 million years ago, almost coincided with also with the presence of the emergence of the Sierra Madre. So that means that we'll have to don't forget that no Cordillera was already there, no, and then with the emergence of the Sierra Madre, these rodents, no, immediately or not immediately, but readily went to the Sierra Madres and diversified to what we are seeing right now for the species that are present in the Sierra Madres, no. And looking here at the geological model of the development of Philippines and adjacent islands, no, by Hall, this is authority in the geology of Southeast Asia, one of the most complex geologic regions on the planet. So starting here at on the top left side, 20 million years ago, the early Miocene. So you're seeing here naka-superimpose dito yung what is the present configuration, the shape of the islands that we know. So we have here Palawan, which is already dry land. So it was already going southwards now with the now going southwards. There was already dry land, but so we also have here there are two volcanoes on the top, no? There's already dry land in between, and these are probably the Cordilleras. So 20 million years ago. And beside that, to the right, there's also dry land here, which is probably the Sierra Madres, no? 20 million years ago. And then fast forward 15 million years ago, Cordillera was already there. There were volcanoes, there were land, there were highlands. But the Sierra Madres, which appeared in 20 million years ago, disappeared or submerged, no, underneath, and then it continued for 10 million years. There were no Sierra Madre back then, and then 5 million years ago, there it was, no. There's now dry land now, which it's now the Sierra Madres. So this fits perfectly, even with the geologic model, the reconstruction of the geologic history of Southeast Asia, no. So this fits with the relative ages of the genera, especially those that are found in the Sierra Madre. So 5 million years ago, Sierra Madre emerged or it's there in Sierra Madre, the mountain range, and coincided as well with the colonization of the several genera of murid rodents. So that's where it no, it started the arrival of your Archboldemes, Rhynchomes, Crotomes, Sericomes, and Apomes uh, to the mountain range. Probably coming from the Cordilleras already. Okay, right. So with talk about the mammals that we documented in the Sierra Madres, the studies that we did, the new species that we described, and the phylogenetic history, phylogeny and history of those rodents, So there were also extinct murid rodents from Luzon Island. So this was published now 3 News in Journal of Mammalogy by Janine Ochoa of UP Diliman. So they found in Callao Caves, no? Possibly within the vicinity where they found Homo luzonensis, I think. So they described 3 new extinct species from the endemic Philippine cloud rat radiation. So kasama dito, so si Dr. Armand Mahares of the National Museum, I believe, Philip Piper, Marian Reyes, and of course Lara Heaney. So the 3 of these, they described 3 new species, all from the arboreal clade. So you have Crateromys balik, uh, dated between 65,000 to 3,500 years before present. You have Carpomis dakal, Also, the fossils are dated the same age as Crateromies, but very evident here is that Carpomies would be much larger than Crateromies. Actually, the medyo maliit yung Crateromies doon. And then you have Batomis cagayanensis, dated 65,000 years before present. They don't know kung hanggang kailan, no? So we're seeing here from very, very long time ago, 50,000 years, 55,000 years. So there's a presence of these extinct mammals, no? The similar, no? Same genus that we see that we know of extant mammals here on Luzon Island in the Philippines, no? Well, we don't know how they became extinct, no? Well, they were found in a cave, so probably they were included in the diets of the early human ancestors, no? Or at least other species of Homo then. Right. Going back, I'm almost finished here. So going back to my title, no? Sierra Madres as a storm breaker. So there's the caveat or a cautionary tale here. Storm breaker. So there's a paper that was published in the Philippine Journal of Science in 2023 by Jerry Bagtasa and Bernard Alan Racoma. Does the Sierra Madre Mountain Range in Luzon act as a barrier to typhoons? No, so because from several news feeds from Facebook, no, we will binasag pagka may bagyong darating, no, binasag ng Sierra Madre ang bagyo. Yan, talagang matindi talaga. It's a storm breaker. So from that paper, no, I'm going to be reading this verbatim, almost verbatim from the abstract of that paper. So the Sierra Madre Mountain Range reduces wind exposure and basin-wide rainfall of the Cagayan Valley. Okay, dun sa Cagayan Valley. Yeah. Hence, the SMMR can be considered a barrier for that region. Okay, so can be a storm breaker. So from the wind, even the rainfall, no? Right. But for the rest of Luzon, it appears that the mountain range enhances rainfall, no? So, and it's very important because most typhoon-related damages are water or rainfall related. It does attenuates. It does attenuate the strength of the wind, but the rainfall itself, no, not so much, no. So what the two authors said in their paper is that shifting the discourse to these mountains, biodiversity conservation and restoration. These two authors already recognize the importance of the Sierra Madres as a important area for biodiversity and conservation restoration. It shifted the discourse, yeah, for that rather than their purported typhoon mitigating effects will be more strategically constructive. So we should not be dwelling too much with the importance of the Sierra Madre as a storm breaker, although it does to a certain extent. But what we have to realize is that the wealth of biodiversity, well, just as I showed you, the diversity of mammals that can be found, the Sierra Madres, would be also or equally important as well in protecting the Sierra Madres. Okay? So this ends my talk. Before I end, on behalf of my colleagues, doing field work with them from Danny Balete, Larry, Aloy, Eric, Lisa, Joel, Cards, Nonito, Sweepy, and Grace. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Dr. Philip
Pleasant.
Alviola, for that very insightful and engaging presentation. So your discussion po gave us a deeper appreciation of the Sierra Madre, not only as a natural barrier that protects us from storms, but also a vital refuge for the country's unique and endemic mammal species. So the floor is now open for question and answer. However, due to our limited time, we will be just entertaining one question from the audience and one pre-selected question prepared during the forums. So for the one question po from the pre-sent question is from Maria Pedra Blanca from Department of Education. So her question is, how can we make connections to government agencies and other partners to maintain the ecological balance of the Sierra Madre Range?
Right. I mean, purpose of our surveys back then, as I said before, under the Conservation International Philippines, was on the Sierra Madre Biodiversity Corridor Project, and part of that was establishing protected areas on the basis of the wealth of biodiversity. So a lot of these, some of these have already, the surveys that we did were already declared as protected areas. So essentially, the main jurisdiction, no, for these extensive blocks of forest would be under DNR. No, so essentially the protection itself. I'm not sure if there are several big NGOs that are currently working in the Sierra Madres, but of course, the point of collaboration in terms of leading towards protection would be for the DNR would be the starting point on that yeah. And then of course coming into play the several LGUs that are part of that protected area as well. So they are part of the protected area management board. So yeah, at least no. I hope that answers the question. And I apologize for the very, very long lecture. Yeah, medyo overtime. Right.
Thank you so much, sir. So one last question po.
Yeah.
Since wala tayo sa group chat, ayan, from Sir Marvin Tejada, does this species in Sierra Madre can be carriers of zoonotic virus diseases?
Well, one thing's for certain is that they do carry viruses, no? The one that, no, the animals definitely, viruses are natural. And they probably, of course, develop immune system for that. Their immune system is well adapted to that presence of the virus. We don't know yet, no? We don't know yet if the viruses that can carry can spill over to human populations and can become zoonotic. So yun naman ang laro nito. So but we did surveys, very limited surveys actually, parts of Laguna for zoonotic disease from bats. Unfortunately, the whole Sierra Madre is a black hole. Why we haven't done any of bat virus surveys on that place, we don't know. But they do carry viruses, that's one thing for sure. What remains to be seen is, of course, if they have the ability to spill over from humans and become zoonotic, and of course, can have pathogenic manifestations. Yeah. I hope that
Thank you
answers.
thank you so much, sir. So since we're running out of time, thank you to everyone who participated. If you have any more questions or clarifications, please feel free to message our official page or send us an email for additional questions. Again, thank you very much to everyone who participated and shared their question and insights. We will now proceed with the awarding of the certificate. Let me just read the citation. So, Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Phillip Alviola for serving as the resource speaker during the webinar presentation entitled The Sierra Madre Mountain Range, the Stormbreaker is also a stronghold for mammalian endemism, Kaigangan Biodiversity Webinar Series held on 11 of May 2026 via Zoom. Signed by Project Leader Maria Celeste and Vanetikla Hilario. Maraming salamat po, Dr. Phillip Alviola.
Maraming salamat din po sa inyong lahat.
So, for all of us here, please, before tayo mag-end po, kindly open your cameras for our photo op. And yan, mag-smile po tayo.
Hello po pa, makiki-open na lang po ng camera natin. Smile lang po. Lang po. Okay po, smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay po, next. Smile lang po. 1, 2, 3. Okay po, last 2 slides po. Okay, smile lang po. 1, 2, 3. So, last 1. Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much po.
Okay, bye.
Again, thank you everyone for joining us today. But before you leave po, for those asking, please don't forget to scan the QR code or visit the link shown on your screen for our quiz form. So, announcement na din po for next month. We also have our next webinar speaker for June 8, 2026 by Sir Andres III B. Sequito. So, hopefully makita po namin kayo. And again, the link for the attendance is provided. The quiz link, there will be a quiz form. Then after that, there will be a quiz link after that. So after answering the quiz, you will also find the evaluation form link dun sa thank you configuration. Again, no quiz, no evaluation, no certificate po tayo. Thank you once again, everyone, and for joining us today. And see you in our next webinar and enjoy the rest of the day. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Alviola.
Samar Island is the third largest island in the Philippines and has one of the most extensive forest over limestone ecosystems in the country. This ecosystem is home to a wide array of uniquely adapted flora and fauna. Samar Island is known to be one of the centers of botanical diversity in the Philippines and has been nominated as a UNESCO World Natural Heritage Site for its exceptional natural beauty and precious biodiversity. For these reasons, CONserve-KAIGANGAN, a biodiversity research program, was established. Kaigangan is a Samar local word that means forest over limestone. Our research program's mission is to assess and conserve the biodiversity in Samar Island's forest over limestone towards its sustainable management. One of our program's projects is the assessment of biodiversity and community structure in forest over limestone ecosystems. This component of our research aims to determine plant diversity and vegetation structure in various habitat types in forests over limestone, to determine animal diversity associated with forest over limestone, to identify functional classification of vegetation with its associated animal diversity, and to analyze the environmental factors influencing the prevailing structure of the biota. We conducted a comprehensive biodiversity assessment of forests over limestone in the municipalities of Paranas, Taft, and Giwan with remarkable findings. A combined total of 71 plant species were recorded from these municipalities, with at least 3 tree species classified as vulnerable based on the DENR updated national list of threatened Philippine plants. A total of 52 terrestrial vertebrate animal species were also recorded, including 5 amphibian species, 15 reptile species, 20 bird species, and 12 mammal species with conservation statuses ranging from threatened to endangered and critically endangered, based on the DENR updated national list of threatened Philippine fauna. This knowledge will empower our stakeholders in these areas to make appropriate research-based conservation efforts for the protection of these ecosystems that harbor an assemblage of rare, endemic, and economically important flora and fauna. Through this program, people will be equipped with knowledge on forests over limestone biodiversity, including the ecosystem services that it can offer to the community. We at CONserve-KAIGANGAN continue to further raise awareness and capacitate national and local government agencies, especially local communities living in and around Samar's Kaigangan.